Chapter 9. Arnav paced back and forth across his chamber. The room was quiet except for the steady rhythm of his footsteps against the stone floor. A knock sounded at the door. "You called for me, Your Highness." Kabir stepped inside, immediately noticing Arnav's restless movement. Arnav stopped and held up something in his hand. "Do you see this ring?" he said quickly. "The emerald in the center and the pearls around it." Kabir stepped closer. He studied the ring carefully. "It does look familiar," he said slowly. "Isn't this your family heirloom? I remember seeing the queen wear it often. I thought your father gave it to her when they were married." Arnav nodded. "Exactly." He paused. "You remember how King Sudhanshu approached my father secretly after we demanded that Sagarkidu surrender or prepare for war?" Kabir nodded. "Yes, your father agreed to a political alliance instead." Arnav's jaw tightened. "My father's kind heart softened when Sudhanshu begged for peace. Without consulting me, he accepted the proposal." He held the ring up again. "And he sent this ring to Sagarkidu, asking Sudhanshu to give it to his daughter, Princess Arya." Kabir frowned slightly. "I knew about the alliance," he said, "but I didn't know about the ring." He looked at Arnav again. "But wait. If that ring was sent to Princess Arya, how do you have it now?" Arnav exhaled slowly. "The girl I rescued in the forest," he said. "She gave it to me." As a reward for saving her life, Kabir stared at him in disbelief. "Wait," he said. "How is that even possible? First of all, are you absolutely certain it's the same ring?" Arnav's expression darkened slightly. "I have seen that ring on my mother's hand my entire life," he said quietly. "When I was a boy, she used to hold my hand while wearing it." His voice softened. "When she was dying, she took it off and gave it to my father. She kissed me and asked him to give it to my future wife someday." He looked down at the emerald again. "I could recognize it anywhere." Kabir crossed his arms. "If that's true, then how did a girl like her end up with it?" He shrugged slightly. "You've seen her. The girl from the forest. She looks like a peasant." Arnav didn't respond. He simply stared at the ring in his hand, deep in thought. Kabir tilted his head. "Do you think she stole it?" Arnav slowly lifted his gaze. His eyes met Kabir's. For a moment the room felt very quiet. Then his voice turned cold. "Summon her." Chapter 10. A loud bang on the door jolted Arya awake. Before she could gather her thoughts, the door swung open and Kabir walked in. For a brief moment, anger flashed through her. Someone had entered the princess's private chamber without permission. Then reality returned like a cold wave. She was no longer a princess. Kabir's voice was sharp. "Get up, His Highness has summoned you." Arya froze. Kabir waited for no response. "Get ready," he added curtly before stepping outside again. The door closed behind him. Panic spread through Arya's chest. Her fate was no longer her own. It rested entirely in someone else's hands. She dressed quickly, aware that Kabir was waiting just outside the door. As Arya entered the west wing of the castle, she felt a strange tension in the air. Servants moved quietly. Guards stood straighter than usual. Kabir stopped in front of a large wooden door and pushed it open. Arnav stood near the tall window, looking out at the courtyard below. The sunlight framed his silhouette, making him appear taller. "Colder." Arya bowed her head. "Take a seat," Arnav said without turning around. His voice was calm. Too calm. Arya sat down. Kabir signaled the guards to close the doors. The heavy doors shut with a deep thud. Even though there were only 3 people in the room, the chamber suddenly felt suffocating. Kabir cleared his throat. "Who are you?" The simple question sent a storm raging inside Arya's chest. "My name is Priya," she said softly, her voice trembling. Kabir continued, as if he had rehearsed the questions beforehand. "What were you doing in the forest at midnight?" Arya lowered her gaze. I live in a nearby village, she said. My father is an apothecary. I help him collect medicinal herbs from the forest. Her mind raced as she carefully built her lie. Yesterday, I lost track of time. By the time I realized, I had wandered too deep into the forest. I couldn't find my way back. She avoided looking at Kabir. Kabir held up the emerald ring. Is this yours? How does the daughter of an ordinary apothecary come to possess something so valuable? Arya's mouth went dry. She searched desperately for another excuse. Answer him, Arnav said. He still hadn't turned from the window. It was a gift, she murmured. In the next instant, Arnav turned. He crossed the room in a few strides, pulled a chair, and sat directly in front of her. Close. Too close. Arya kept her eyes on the floor. Look at me. She hesitated, then lifted her gaze. Arnav held up the ring. This ring was sent as an engagement gift to Princess Arya. His eyes held hers. I do not deal well with lies. Think carefully before you answer. Arya nodded quickly. How did you get this ring? Arya's breath caught. But one realization steadied her. He had not recognized her, not yet, if she could convince him. Even for a little while. She might survive. This ring, she whispered, was given to me by the princess herself. Impossible. Arnav rose and walked back toward the window. It's true, Arya said quickly. I was hiding part of the truth. Speak, Arnav ordered. I am the daughter of an apothecary, she began. Life was not easy for us. She swallowed before continuing. Years ago, the princess visited our village and fell ill. My father treated her. When she recovered, she saw me. We were the same age. As a reward for my father's help, the king offered me a position in the palace. I became the princess's attendant. Her companion. From that day on, I stayed with her. I was with Princess Arya the day the king Sudhanshu gave her this ring, Arya continued. She liked it very much, but... But what? Arnav said impatiently. It was too large for her finger, Arya replied. It kept slipping. She asked me to wear it temporarily until it could be resized. It fit my finger perfectly. So it remained with me. Arya took a slow breath. Arnav gave no reaction. Had he believed her? That still doesn't explain why you were alone in the jungle, Kabir questioned. Especially if you were palace staff. Arya shot him a brief, fierce glance. I was getting to that, she continued carefully. Last week, a noble dignitary visited the kingdom. He tried to approach me improperly. Her fingers clenched together. When I refused, he accused me of insulting him. It was his word against mine. King Sudhanshu exiled me from the kingdom. That is how I ended up in the forest. In all the chaos, the princess's ring stayed with me. Silence filled the room. Arnav crossed his arms and leaned slightly against the window, facing Arya. When I offered you the ring, Arya added softly, I had no idea you were its rightful owner. It was the only valuable thing I had left. I wanted to thank you for saving my life. She studied Kabir's face for a split second, searching for his reaction. There was quiet determination in her eyes. How do we know you're not lying? Kabir asked. Simple, Arnav replied. If Priya's parents truly live in the nearby village, we can easily verify her story. Arya felt a flicker of relief. Get her address, Arnav said. Kabir nodded. Let's see if the story holds. Arya's stomach twisted. God, I cannot catch a break. At that moment, a servant rushed into the chamber. Your Highness, you have a visitor. Can it not wait? Kabir interrupted. I'm afraid not. A woman stepped inside. She wore an elegant black dress that hugged her figure gracefully. She bowed slightly. Your Royal Highness. Arnav looked surprised. Nisha, what are you doing here? I thought I should deliver the news personally, she said with a smile. And I'm glad Kabir is here as well. Arya watched the exchange carefully. Who was this woman? Unlike Kabir, she seemed completely comfortable around Arnav, and he didn't appear to mind. Nisha's eyes shifted toward Arya. And what is this maid doing here? She pointed casually. Ignore her, Arnav said calmly. Something burned inside Arya's chest. So, Arnav continued, what is this important news? Oh yes, Nisha said with a mischievous smile. The message arrived from the palace of Sagarkidu. She paused for dramatic effect. The princess, your future bride, has disappeared. Arya's heart began to race. Chapter 11. What do you mean she disappeared? Arnav's voice was sharp, the calm from earlier gone. Nisha leaned casually against the table, clearly enjoying the attention. Well, she began. As per your orders, I've been keeping an eye on Sagarkidu's palace. She crossed her arms with a smug smile. This morning, I noticed King Sudhanshu sending search parties in every direction. Kabir frowned. That could mean many things. Nisha shrugged lightly. Perhaps, but a miser like him wouldn't waste resources searching for an ordinary citizen. She tilted her head playfully. So, I bribed a few palace guards. The truth came out soon enough. She looked at Arnav and fluttered her eyelashes. You must admit, I'm your best spy. Arnav did not react to her flirtation. Is that all you know? He asked coldly. Nisha sighed dramatically. I like it when you're impatient like this. Then she straightened. No one knows where the princess went. The rumors say she was unhappy with the alliance. She smirked. Personally, I think it's her loss. She has no idea what she's missing. It is indeed good news, Arnav said. The words struck Arya like a blade. Kabir looked at him in surprise. How exactly is this good news? Arnav turned toward the window again. It was a political alliance, Kabir, not a love match, he spoke calmly. In fact, I should be grateful to the princess. Nisha's eyes lit up. Oh, and why is that? Arnav's lips curved slightly. Because now I don't have to marry her. He turned slowly back toward them. And I still get everything I wanted. Kabir's expression hardened slightly. Arnav continued. My father promised peace because of that alliance. But if the princess has dishonored our agreement by disappearing. His voice became colder. Then that promise no longer binds me. I can invade Sagarkidu whenever I choose. And when I do, the blame will fall entirely on the princess for humiliating our kingdom. Even my father will have no reason to stop me. As he spoke, Arnav watched Arya carefully. Her face had turned pale. Her body felt numb. She was standing in a room full of enemies while they calmly discussed destroying her home, and she could do absolutely nothing. Just give the word, Your Highness, Nisha said eagerly. It would be my honor to lead part of the troops and crush Sagarkidu myself. She smiled viciously. And perhaps we could even discover where the princess fled, Kabir said, glancing toward Arya. Her attendant might help with that. Nisha turned slowly. This, she said, eyeing Arya with amusement. Is this the princess's attendant? A cruel smile spread across her face. I'm quite skilled at making people talk. Arya saw something terrifying in her eyes. A sadistic curiosity. Cold sweat broke across her forehead, despite the warmth of the chamber. Without thinking, she stepped behind Arnav. Pure instinct. That won't be necessary. Arnav's voice cut through the tension. Nisha, he continued firmly, return to your post and keep watching Sagarkidu's palace. I want to know everything that happens there. Every movement. Every message. Nisha gave a reluctant nod. As you wish. Arnav turned to Kabir. Make sure the troops are well rested and ready. Kabir's posture straightened immediately. Yes, Your Highness. Arnav had fully shifted into the role of commander. Arya barely heard the rest of their conversation. Her vision darkened. The voices around her faded into a distant echo. The last thing she saw was the cold stone floor rushing toward her. Then everything went black, but before her head could strike the ground, Arnav caught her. Chapter 12. Arya lay unconscious on the bed in the guest chamber. Arnav stood beside her, watching her pale face carefully. For a long moment, he said nothing. "Is she going to be all right?" he asked quietly. The physician finished examining her pulse before answering. "Her pulse is stable, Your Highness. This appears to be a classic case of exhaustion." He glanced at the maids nearby. "She has likely gone without proper food and water for some time while also enduring physical strain. She needs rest, plenty of fluids, and light meals." The physician gathered his instruments. "She should recover within a day or two." He turned to the maids. "Make sure she drinks the herbal broth every few hours." The maids nodded obediently. The next afternoon, Arnav returned. The maids bowed as he entered. "She woke up earlier, Your Highness," one of them said softly. "We gave her soup, and the medicinal herbs the physician prescribed." Arnav stepped closer to the bed. Arya had fallen asleep again. He studied her face carefully, almost as if he were trying to solve a puzzle. "Your Highness," Kabir's voice broke the silence. Arnav turned slightly. Kabir looked mildly annoyed. "What are you doing here? I've been looking for you all over the castle." Arnav straightened. "I wanted to make sure she was recovering." There was no hesitation in his voice. Kabir raised an eyebrow but said nothing about it. "I traced her story," Kabir continued. "I personally went to the address she mentioned. There is an apothecary living there. His elder daughter, Priya, works at the Sagarkidu Palace. The villagers also confirmed the story about the princess falling ill years ago. The apothecary did treat her." Kabir folded his arms. But what?" Arnav asked impatiently. Kabir shook his head slightly. "Perhaps it's nothing. Maybe I'm imagining things." His voice lowered. "Still, something feels wrong. I can't quite explain it." A faint smile appeared on Arnav's face. He walked toward the open gallery overlooking the courtyard. Away from the bed. Away from Arya. Kabir followed him. "Of course her story checks out," Arnav said calmly. "I expected nothing less." He rested his hands on the railing. "I must admit, she is far sharper than I anticipated." Kabir studied him carefully. "Tell me something, Kabir," Arnav continued. "What do you think makes a good lie?" "A convincing liar, perhaps." Kabir crossed his arms. Arnav nodded slightly. "A lie works only when it contains the right balance of truth and fiction." Arnav glanced back toward the room. "Have you noticed her?" Kabir remained silent. "The way she makes eye contact when she feels cornered," Arnav said thoughtfully. "No servant dares to look directly at a prince like that." Kabir nodded slowly. "And the way she speaks," Arnav continued. "Her language is refined, clear, educated. That kind of articulation doesn't come from palace servants." Kabir listened carefully now. "And her movements," Arnav added. "The way she walks. The way she carries herself. There is grace there. Too much grace for a mere attendant." Kabir's expression changed as the realization slowly formed. "That is strange," he murmured. "If she is a noblewoman, why would she hide her identity?" He frowned deeper. Arnav didn't let him finish. "She isn't just a noblewoman, Kabir." Arnav's eyes glinted slightly. "Do you really think it is a coincidence that the princess disappears? At the same time, I encounter this girl in the forest." Kabir exhaled slowly. "To be fair, we still don't have official confirmation that the princess is missing." "That's true." Arnav nodded. "But Nisha rarely brings rumors without substance," he argued. "You are right. If the princess truly vanished, King Sudhanshu would never allow that news to spread beyond the palace." Kabir agreed. "Cancelled wedding would weaken Sagarkidu politically." Arnav smiled. "Exactly. Kabir suddenly looked back toward the room. Wait. His voice lowered. If the princess really has disappeared. His eyes widened slightly. Are you saying? Yes, Arnav didn't hesitate. I am almost certain that our guest is none other than Princess Arya herself. Kabir stared at him. She escaped from her palace, Arnav continued calmly, and by some strange twist of fate. She walked straight into my territory. His smile grew colder. Kabir's jaw tightened. How do you wish to proceed, Your Highness? His voice carried a hint of anger now. Princess Arya humiliated you. She insulted the royal house of Matsya by abandoning the marriage alliance her own father proposed. And she deceived us by hiding her identity. Kabir's voice hardened. She might even be pretending to be ill now. His eyes burned with loyalty. I say we throw her into prison and let her beg for your mercy. Arnav chuckled softly. Relax, Kabir. There's no need to get emotional. He glanced back toward the bed where Arya lay sleeping. Have you ever watched a tiger play with its prey before the final strike? Arnav's voice turned cold. I will make her life so miserable that she will count the days until she begs me for imprisonment. And when Sagarkidu falls, his eyes darkened. It will be entirely her fault. Thank you for listening to episode 2. As the writer of this story, I have a question for you. Now that Arnav knows the truth, what do you think he'll do with it? Will he force Arya to reveal her real identity to the world? Will he throw her into prison like a criminal? Or will he summon the royal family of Sagarkidu and expose her before everyone she loves? One thing is certain. Sagarkidu stands on the edge of a storm. Can Princess Arya keep her secret hidden? Can she turn this dangerous situation into an opportunity to protect her kingdom? Or has fate already begun moving the pieces against her? The answers await in the next episode. If you're curious to discover what happens next, please like, subscribe, and follow the channel so you never miss an episode. Your support helps this story reach more listeners, and it truly means the world to this writer. See you next time.